Alright, this is Brett. Here's a quick lesson on one of the most useful techniques for kind of getting out of like open position. Because a lot of people start learning chords on guitar and then you want to start moving up. You want to get out of just being down here. You want to start moving up, but you don't really know how to do it. And sometimes even if you know some bar chords, it's hard to know how to do anything more complicated once you start moving up the guitar. So this is the shape I think is the easiest to learn how to do it. So you take A major. So a lot of people learn A major like this. Some people learn it like this. I think this is a pretty useless way to play A major most of the time. So I'd recommend learning A major like this. But then after a while you realize you can just do it like this. And unless you have really thick strings, this can be painful, but if your strings aren't too thick, this is the easiest way to do it. So if you take this shape, this is A major, this is 2, 2, 2. And then you start strumming, but make sure you only hit those 3 strings right there. Then what you can start to do is move the shape around. So you can move it from the 2nd fret to the 7th fret to the 9th fret. So first you just want to learn how to do that. Make sure you don't hit the open strings. You can. It sounds kind of cool, but it's not as useful because you're going to end up getting kind of a different tonality and different, because the bass note would be constant, you'd end up with something that you don't necessarily want. So you just want to hit these 3 notes. So first make sure you can do that. It's 2, 7, 9. You can mix it up any order you want. Once you can do that, making sure you're only strumming those strings, then you want to start adding these notes in like this. If you can't do the upper one, then don't worry about it, but you got to keep your finger down the whole time. So it's like, it's really easy to remember. It's just 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 5, but it's more the finger pattern that you want to memorize because you're going to slide it around. So it's you skip 1 fret, then you skip 1 fret, and then you skip 2 frets. And if you can't do this one, then just work on these ones. And you can do it with hammer-ons and pull-offs. Or you can just do it slow if you can't do that, just like this. So then what you do is you strum, and then you add some of these notes. And once you can do that, and you're comfortable there, then you want to move it up to the 7th fret and do the exact same thing. Then you move it to the 9th fret and do the same thing. So I'll just play something, and then I'll kind of break down what I'm doing, and then I'll show you one more trick. So basically all I was doing is kind of going up the pattern, strumming, and then down the pad. And I moved it up, and I went up the pattern. And then 9th fret, up the pattern. So once you can do that, then you can also start adding in other frets. This is called the 1-4-5 progression, which is essentially the same thing as going A, D, E, D. And that chord progression is nice, but sometimes it gets a little boring. So what you could do is start adding some other ones. So you could add the 5th fret in there, it'll sound more like a rock song. So you could go 2, you could try like sliding into these shapes, like. And you go from 6 to 7. Or you could just try other random ones. The 2, 5, 7, 9, especially 2, 7, 9 are the most common, but you could try like. So there I added just the 8th fret randomly. You never know, like you can end up with cool riffs just doing stuff kind of random to see what happens. Maybe I'll go from 2 to 12. So there I went from 2, 12, 10, 8 just randomly off the top of my head. It sounded kind of cool. But the ones that I would practice are 2, 8, and 10. And once you got that down, then you should also know what the chord names are. So this is A major. The 7th fret is D major. And the 9th fret is E major. So then as you get better at guitar, let's say someone was playing this. A major, D major, and they're just doing that, then you could end up actually going to D major at the same time they go to D major. So you could be down here while they're down here, or you could go up to the 14th fret and go up an octave higher. Might be interesting. But let's say that you're both in the same spot, so they're doing A major, and you're just going to... And then you see them go to D, and then you would want to get to D on the 7th fret. And then when they go to E, you go to the 9th fret. Then they go back to D, you go to 7th fret. This would be C major. And if you're a little better at guitar, this might be obvious to you, but where these shapes are coming from are the bar chords. So like here's A major, but this shape, the 7th fret one, is coming from this D major bar chord. And this 9th fret one is coming from E major. It's just dropping the bass note out. So one more kind of more advanced trick here that I like to do is I'll play like so what I did is I slid on the A string into the shape. This is probably one of the most used techniques in like rock music. So what you're doing is you're sliding, instead of doing the bass note here, for like the D major, you're sliding into the 3rd of the chord. But the way to practice it is I would just do this, go on the 7th fret, and then slide from 7 to 9, and then play this shape. So 7 to 9 on the A string. Or you could do it from 9 to 11. And then once you kind of got it down, you can kind of combine it. So. And the equivalent is using this note down here. So you could be. And then once you get real good with all this stuff, then you can also start adding a few extra notes. You can add the ones up on top. But generally I don't add those top strings when I'm doing this, because this is more of a trick that you can pull out real quick for any sort of chord progression, especially in the key of A, but you could do it in any key. But first I just learn it 2, 7, 9, 7, 9. And you can throw the 5th fret in there if you want more rock. So that's it. Hopefully it was helpful. Alright, bye.